Hello and welcome to the Fall Start Fantasy Podcast with your hosts Cameron and Josh. On this week's episode, we are joined by Billy and Malachi to talk about how our championship match ended, NFL playoffs, and a little bit about the NFL draft. Billy, Malachi, welcome to the show. How are you guys doing?
Good,
Not
good.
bad. Happy to be here again.
Good to have you guys back. And Josh, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing pretty well. Sad news as far as college football with Deuce Vaughn leaving K-State, but you know what? I think he'll do fine in the NFL.
It was about time, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it was going to be a good question whether he came back or not, but he'll do fine. He'll basically be Darren Sproles 2.0.
Darren Sproles 2.0. I could accept that. That'd be pretty good. I think if he wants to, like, obviously he wants to go to the NFL, but I think if he wants to be like a really productive player, get on the field a lot, it's going to come down to his pass blocking at the NFL level because pass blocking in the Big 12, blocking KU's defensive ends versus getting drafted, and then you're going to have to go and pass block Miles Garrett or um, Jordan Davis of the Eagles D tackle. Like,
Mhm.
these guys are a lot bigger, and he's real small. So if he wants to be the third down running back, and don't get me wrong, he could also be your um, power back in cases that you need it. It's really going to come down to what can you do in pass protection because you got to get on the field.
Luckily, he's one of those, he loves the contact, so I think he'll do fine.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk more about Deuce Vaughn and the other NFL prospects when we get to it, but let's go ahead and wrap up our fantasy football championship as we talked last week about how we were going to use the Week 18 scores, and man, was it hilarious how this thing ended. Josh, give me your initial reaction when I told you what the score ended up being.
Oh, I couldn't stop laughing just because of how funny it was. For those of you who don't know, Chris is known to always get second place every single year. And the fact that he missed by, what was it, 2 yards passing from Joe Burrow? If he had 2 more yards, that would have been tied.
Yep, exactly.
Knowing it was that close, oh, I just found it hilarious.
Yeah, Malachi, you were one of the first people I believe to respond in the group chat when I texted this. What were your thoughts about Chris, and what do you think he's feeling?
Oh, I can only imagine the despair, the anger, the the down in the pit that he must be feeling. It's hilarious. I
Billy,
mean, like that's just bad luck.
yeah, absolutely. Billy, talk to me. How must it feel for Ethan to win, knowing that his defense put up -3 points?
Just very fortunate, probably. That's probably what way I'm be feeling, probably.
Very fortunate indeed. I really gotta say, for someone who was not paying attention all season, I can't believe the defense that Ethan chose was the Vikings, considering they were the 24th ranked defense in fantasy by the end of the year. Uh, not the team I would have chosen to just plug and forget, but I guess we'll see how they end up doing in the playoffs. But that defense really scares me, and I cannot believe he won with negative points from the defense.
Mm-hmm.
But that does it for our season, and I gotta say, it was a blast. How'd you guys feel how it went?
Sad. Still sad.
I mean, I enjoyed it. This was my first foray into fantasy sports and like football at all, and it's really gotten me into football, and I'm really starting to like it.
Glad to hear
I
that.
I enjoyed it. It was fun. My first time ever drafting my team, so
That's right. You've always had to miss out the draft because of work.
Who was the player that always kept getting drafted to Philly's team?
Odell.
Odell
OBJ.
Beckham Jr.
oh no.
Billy would be like, "All right, guys, just make sure Odell doesn't get drafted to my team. I gotta go to work," and then just say like, "Hey."
It may have been a rough season, but it was fun.
All I gotta say is no Odell, no winning record for Billy. That's all I gotta say.
Well, Josh, I
Yeah.
know what it's like being me in the playoffs and how terrible it feels. I
Yeah,
I looked it up.
finally.
I looked it up here. Ethan could have started the Packers, who had 23 points, Saints 18, Jaguars 17, Seahawks 17, Lions 15, Giants 14, and five other teams who all got above 10 points in week 17 and just not had to worry at all, but chose the Vikings. And those are all teams that were completely available in the championship
Mhm.
week.
And
I'm
those aren't
focusing too
even
much on it, but
typically like seen as good defenses either. I had the 49ers defense. They got 1 point that week.
yeah, it
It
is
was atrocious.
it is it's very strange how week 17 can work out, and the Raiders were not supposed to be a team that would be that good against the 49ers, but Jarrett Stidham magic, I guess.
Hmm.
Well,
How did you guys feel about the Raiders starting Stidham?
uh,
See what you got, I guess.
Yeah.
he has moments, but it's pretty shaky.
Yeah, he threw quite a few touchdowns, but then he had a couple turnovers. I think it was 2 interceptions in week 18. I can't remember the
I
exact.
could think of at least one.
I remember one, and maybe there was a second one that got called back or something, or maybe he had a fumble.
I
I
think it
don't
was a
remember.
fumble.
But do you think they
I'm
stick
not
with
sold.
Carr?
Well,
No,
Carr's already gone, isn't he?
No, he's
He
there.
he stepped away from the team.
Yeah, he's gonna be gone though.
He'll be gone. He
If
won't
he's
be a
not,
quarterback.
if he's not gone, I'm very surprised.
Future Texan.
Probably a future Colt.
I can
Colts.
see that.
That'd be pretty good. Just had a interview today with the Colts GM who said that they had planned on Carson Wentz being their quarterback for 4 to 7 years when they made that trade for him. So
That lasted.
yeah, that lasted barely a year. So, well, that does it for the fantasy playoffs at the end of the year. Any wrapping up thoughts that you guys had? Any spicy takes you want to throw out for next year already?
Chris will get second once again.
I'm making it back to the playoffs, baby. Let's go.
I'm gonna make a play. I'm trying to make a playoff run next year.
All right, all right. So we got the 4 playoff teams right here, except I guess Chris has got to be in there. So Josh, you mind taking a year off from the playoffs?
I'll think about it. You know, my back's getting kind of heavy.
I was thinking 12th
Yeah,
place
three-
would be a good spot for you. What do you think?
Oh,
I'm thinking more like a fifth. You gotta
I mean,
keep it competitive, keep it interesting.
That was sad though to see a 15-0 team go in and lose the first round.
I mean,
Playoffs.
when you lose to a
Especially-
champion like Ethan's team, what could you do?
So I'll put it this way: at least Ethan won it.
Yeah.
Makes me feel a little bit better. Not by
Everyone
much,
wants to
because
lose to the second place person. That would be
Yeah.
embarrassing, right, Malachi?
I had a bad week that week.
so did I.
Well, that does it for the fantasy football. We're going to jump right into our playoffs. And the first one I have fear because what we're going to do is we're going to do a March Madness style bracket thing with our predictions. And basically, you'll get 1 point for every game that you get right. And if this doesn't end up being what the bracket looks like, it'll just be for you get 1 point for every team that ends up where you think they should be. So if the let's see, if the Jaguars win and the Dolphins win, then the Chiefs would be playing the Dolphins, not the Jaguars. But we'd still give a point for the Jaguars, even though they wouldn't be playing the Chiefs. So we'll see how that ends up, and I'll keep everyone updated on how the points are going. But I'm going to throw this to you, Josh. Go ahead and explain why the Seahawks are winning.
Okay, so yes, for me,
Mic
I
off.
did predict the Seahawks to win. This is just one of those. And you guys know me, I'm not the biggest believer in Brock Purdy. I just think the Seahawks just have just enough up their sleeve to where they might be able to upset the 49ers. Now, this is probably my At least it's one of my two spicier picks for upsets, but I just think the Seahawks are somehow going to edge out the 49ers on this one and get the W. It's going to be close, though.
Mic on.
I mean, that's fair. They played the Rams last year, I believe, in the wild card round, and they swept the Rams during the regular season, but the Rams ended up winning that game, obviously. So there's definitely a chance the Seahawks do it. And, I mean, the Seahawks secondary has been looking pretty good this year, and not what I was expecting, at least. So there's a chance they could pick on Brock Purdy.
And
Exactly.
Gale Smith having the best year of his career.
Absolutely.
And a mostly healthy offense to add to it, so it could turn out to be a shootout, but then again, 49ers still have a good defense, so expect tops 25 points from the highest score of the week. Whichever one it happened to be between the two.
Yeah, big surprise here, at least to me, was the Bucks beating the Cowboys. You want to talk about that?
Something in my gut is just telling me the Cowboys, because of the fact that they're the Cowboys under Mike McCarthy, will choke. I don't like Mike McCarthy as a coach. I'm just going to be completely honest. To me, you are better off having...
Mic off.
I think of the guy's name now. Dude, Jackson,
Mic
I think,
on.
the guy that was coaching Cleveland as a head coach.
Oh my god.
I do not like Mike McCarthy as all. He's always been carried by talent. And the fact you're going to be against postseason Tom Brady, I just think somehow, some way, he has just enough magic to get past the first round.
That's fair. I personally worry about the Cowboys secondary. Trayvon Diggs is not a lockdown corner by any means. He's above average, but not what the Cowboys need. And behind him on that depth chart is horrifying. So horrifyingly bad, I should say. Did you want to talk about the rest of the divisional championship on the NFC side?
Vikings beat Giants. Giants can't keep up. It's as simple as that. Giants are scrappy, but I just don't think they have enough to keep up with the Vikings. Yes, divisional round NFC. Eagles beat Seahawks. Vikings beat Bucks. Simple, easy, and then Eagles win again against Vikings. And that's my views on the NFC.
Okay. I like the Eagles in the big game there. Jump over to the AFC side. Walk me through each of the games there.
So, Bills,
Mic
Dolphins, as much as I would love the Dolphins to win this, especially with my boy Skylar Thompson getting the start again, I don't see a way where that happens. I'm sorry, I just can't see it. They're going to Buffalo. It's going to be cold. Bills Mafia gets the job done, I think, fairly easily, but you never know. Maybe Skylar Thompson has some of that magic they had at K-State up his sleeve still, so open for it. I don't think it'll happen. Bengals, Ravens, I don't think Lamar Jackson's going to be back, so expect more or less what you saw this last week. So pretty easy there. And then Jags, Chargers, I do not like the Chargers in this one. Mike Williams is hurt. Defense is finally healthy, which is good for them, but also at the same time, I can't even think of the head coach's name, but I do not like the head coach.
Brandon Staley.
Thank you.
Yeah.
To me, he flirts with the line of being aggressive and dumb, and usually he's on the dumb side. And when you make dumb calls as a head coach, it bites you in the ass. Look at last season.
Oh, the 18th game of the season?
That too. So I think because of over aggressiveness, no matter what analytics say, he's going to go for the more aggressive one anyways. I think it's going to bite them in the ass again. Doug Peterson's a good head coach. Jags are in their stride right now at the best time of the year. I think they have enough to beat the Chargers. However, they won't have enough when they go up against the Chiefs after that. Chiefs take care of
Charge
Jacksonville. Arrowhead in January is one of the toughest places to play. Pretty simple. Bills, Bengals, that will be a good game. I think the Bills will take it, but sadly we never got to see what happened from a few weeks ago, so I can't base that game off of anything for that. So I think the Bills take it, but it could go either way, honestly. And then I still expect the Chiefs to beat the Bills. Of course, we'll see where that game happens to be played.
Mic
If that is
off.
the case.
Mic on.
And then Super Bowl, I predict Chiefs Eagles, the 1 seeds make it, and the Chiefs winning it all.
I like it. I think right now the plan is the Falcon Stadium if the Chiefs and the Bills play. I imagine.
I think I've heard of that.
Yeah, I
That
think
makes sense.
they'll come up with something. They'll probably release something this week or next week about the decision for that. But hopefully it doesn't come to it because the Bills are definitely going to lose in the first round of the Dolphins.
Let's hope so.
Well, I like the bracket. We'll keep track of that and see where the points are going to be at. And we're going to go ahead and jump here to Billy's, which is a little bit different. And I think the biggest surprise is the 49ers. Billy, talk to us. Why do you believe in them?
Mic off.
The 49ers, I just think they're riding the hot hand, and they're riding with Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy seems like he's selling with Shanahan's offense pretty well, so I think they're do enough to get past the Seahawks. It'll be a close game, but I think the 49ers will get past them.
Mic on.
Okay, I can see the vision. You have them going all the way into the Super Bowl. Which of those matchups do you have there that worries you the most? Is it the divisional game against the Bucks or the championship game against the Eagles?
Championship game against the Eagles is one I think is going to be a real tough one.
Absolutely, I could see that. Eagles on their side, looks like they got a nice, easy schedule. Giants beating the Vikings. Talk to me about why you see that upset happening.
I know Vikings won a lot of games this year, but I don't think they're. I have a gut feeling they're gonna get knocked out by the Giants. Giants are run the ball with Saquon Barkley and do just enough to win. I just don't believe in the Vikings in the playoffs right now.
I think that is absolutely justified. AFC side looking exactly like Josh's. Did you have anything to add on any of those matches?
I picked Jaguars too because the Chargers are. They kind of didn't rest their starters last week when they played Denver, and some of them got hurt. So I think Staley kind of made a bad call there, not sitting some of his starters. So that might come bite him in the butt. And I still like the
Mic
Chargers
off.
coach some of his decisions. So I think Jacksonville's gonna do just enough to win.
Mic
With how
on.
hot they're going right now with Doug Pearson and Trevor Lawrence.
All right. Anything else you wanted to add about your playoff bracket here?
Not really, just about the same as Josh. So
Okay. What's your biggest worry about the Chiefs, and what if they would not win the Super Bowl? What would be the weakness?
probably the kicking game.
Okay. Worried about Butker? Or are you thinking some karma's coming back from the Bills?
I think it's just the kicking game right now. It's probably a concern for me.
Okay, I like it. Well, to no one's surprise, we're going to Malachi next, who also chose the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl. You guys some Chiefs fans up in here? Is that what I'm saying?
Very much. The first football game that I actually paid attention to was Super Bowl 54.
Okay, I like it.
I've grown up in a Chiefs household. But, I mean, AFC-wise, mine's
off.
pretty identical, except for championship round. I have Bengals beating the Bills. I think the Bengals offense and defense, it kind of works together a lot more, slightly more better than the Bills does. I think they're both very good teams, but I think it would be a high-scoring game between these two, but I think the Bengals would just barely edge out.
Mic on.
I like that. Talk to me about the NFC side. Big change here is you're the first person to predict the Cowboys over the Bucks.
Yeah, I don't like Tom Brady.
I think that's a popular opinion.
Yeah, that's pretty much where my point ends. The Cowboys-Bucks game, I think, is just going to be a complete toss-up. It depends on how does Dak play? And how many interceptions does he throw? It's like some of them aren't on him, but he currently has the most interceptions in the league.
Yeah.
And that can bite him. And then I also have the Giants winning. And then, similar to Billy, I have the 49ers making it to the Super Bowl, and I think it's going to be a rematch of 54, and I believe the Chiefs are going to edge out a win again. But the Eagles-49ers, that would also be a close game, I feel. I also am a believer of Brock Purdy.
Believer of Brock Purdy. Josh, does that grind your gears a little bit?
Oh, Malachi knows this.
Yeah,
We've had
I've-
multiple
I've
discussions
had
about
like
this.
a half-hour-long conversation over just Brock Purdy before. But, I mean...
I just can't cheer for him. I know Big 12 was like the void KU left in football. We replaced him with Iowa State, so we became our new rival. And I think he went 500 against K-State, but a lot of those really hurt.
I never really watched college football, and I just liked Brock Purdy. But I think there's the championship and divisional games. I think are going to be great, no matter what team makes it. Though I'm expecting certain specific teams to make it to that divisional for it to be good. I'm really looking forward to that Bills-Bengals game, though.
I am also very much looking for it. I mean, this divisional round, and mine's going to look very similar. It looks like a lot of really good games here. Now, 49ers Chiefs rematch of Super Bowl 54. We all know what happened in that game, where it really came down to an awesome jet chip wasp to Tyreek Hill. Are you worried about the pass protection for the Chiefs against that 49ers front seven? Like, we were scared of what was happening in that game? Or
it's very... The 49ers defense is definitely, I would see, be the biggest problem for the Chiefs. But I think their offense this year has been just... It's able to work itself around those really good defenses. Like, it was a close game with the Broncos. And the Broncos also have had a great defense, but the Chiefs were still able to take that out. Like, I'm not expecting it to be like a very wide margin of game. It's going to be a close one.
I like it. Anything else to add about your bracket?
I'm looking forward to the Jaguars beating the Chargers.
Okay, I guess I'm the only believer then. I have my bracket here. I have the Chargers over the Jaguars, and I think we're forgetting that the Jaguars lost 8 games this year and only barely beat the Nate Hobbs. Was that his name? Of the Titans.
Joshua Dobbs.
Joshua
Joshua
Dobbs.
Dobbs.
Nate Dobbs is the Raiders cornerback. Yeah, Joshua Dobbs of the Titans. The Jaguars barely won that game, and it was really slow pace, and the offense just wasn't doing that much against a really banged up Titans defense. And I think Justin Herbert is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. If you don't want to say he's top 3, that's fine. You can, but I would say he's top 5. And I see the 3 guys who are at or with him in that divisional matchup there, in the 1, 2, and 3 spots. AFC, it's a lot of really good quarterbacks right now. Patrick Mahomes is the oldest quarterback in the AFC playoffs right now, with Josh Allen being, I believe, 25, 26.
I think he's 26, and then Mahomes and Allen are the only 2 that aren't on rookie contracts.
Yeah. If you want to say Tua, he's 23. Skylar Thompson's 25. Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, I believe, are both 25. Trevor Lawrence and Justin Herbert. I mean, that's a whole lot of young guys over there on the AFC side. Division is stacked right now. It's pretty scary. Now, if the Ravens go to their third-string quarterback, I'm trying to remember his name. Anyone know?
Anthony Brown.
Anthony Brown.
I believe he's 30 or 29, and Teddy Bridgewater I think is 31. So if those 2 end up playing or starting, then Mahomes won't be the oldest. But they're not really the starters for the team, and I think that's pretty scary. Now, I also had the Bengals over the Bills. I am absolutely terrified of the Bengals, and part of me hopes that by putting them as my Super Bowl champions, that the Chiefs then won't play them, and I can be happy when they lose to the Bills. Bengals are just a complete team all across the board. Their right tackle right now is out, and so there's definitely some more offensive line to exploit there, but. Head coach Zach Taylor has done a really good job with improving the offensive line, and he knows the capabilities of the starting roster there are not what you see on the Eagles or in the past the Cowboys. 49ers have a good offensive line. Chiefs have a good offensive line. He knows that his guys that he has there aren't at that level, so what he does is he pulls up a bunch of schemes for them, and then Joe Burrow's doing a lot out of pocket and doing a lot when he's getting pressured. He's able to find the open receiver, and Jamar Chase, T. Higgins are absolutely blowing the game open. So Bills, with that banged up secondary that they have, they've really been giving up a lot more yards, and I think people have really noticed. I think that the Bengals will beat the Bills, and then Chiefs over the Chargers is nothing new there. They beat them twice already this year, and they're a lot worse than they were at the start of the year when they gave the Chiefs trouble. So on the NFC side, I put the Cowboys all the way up to the championship game. I think the Bucks are terrible, absolutely awful. They barely were able to win their division, and I think the Cowboys aren't that bad. I do worry about how their offense has kind of slowed down a lot and isn't the points leader like they were at some points this year, but I think Dak Prescott's still a good quarterback, and I think their offensive coordinator is going to get a head coaching job this year, and maybe their defense coordinator will too. But Giants over the Vikings. Vikings, I think, are pretenders. Giants are pretty good, and then I don't think the Seahawks are any good. 49ers will take them there, but that's when the Cowboys beat them. And Eagles to the championship versus the Cowboys, beating the Cowboys again. Bengals win it all. I just gave you guys the future of what the playoffs are going to look like. Any questions?
That Chiefs Bengals game, because me and you have the same championship. So my biggest thing with that game is that the Bengals have beaten the Chiefs by a field goal
each game.
Both
Three straight.
Three times this year or last year.
Don't remind me.
And so I think the Chiefs can come out with a vengeance.
Don't remind me. They all still hurt.
Mm-hmm. Though I will say, I think Butker's starting to go over that hill.
Well, there's definitely a lot of concerns around the league about that.
I think with the Bengals off right tackle being out for the year, right, Cam?
I think he's out for the year, yeah.
Chris Jones could wreak havoc on the inside.
Chris Jones has been doing really good, especially the last couple games.
He finished 15 and a half sacks as a inside D tackle.
Yeah, Lyle Collins. And actually, Alex Kappa is also out for the game, so if he's missing time again, that's not good. This will be their starting offensive line. It'll be Jonah Williams, Cordell Volson, Ted Karras, Max Sharping, and Hakeem Adeniji. Josh, you're an offensive line expert. You know those guys?
I've never heard of any of them.
Cam.
Yeah.
Hakeem Adeniji went to KU, actually.
I just realized that. As soon as I said his name, I was like, wait a second. I know him. I believe he took a whole lot of blame when Aaron Donald bulldozed him in the Super Bowl 90 times.
Yeah. I think if he's lined up against Chris Jones, it's not going to be good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what can I say? He did go to KU, so.
Oh.
Also the defense is starting to finally get to their groove.
Yeah, Bengals defense, I just really like what they're running. I think the team's really good and they're really smart. And while Eli Apple, people can say he's not that great, he's still above average. And there's a lot of good players on that team.
I do like the Bengals team.
Yeah.
If I would prefer it to be the Chiefs.
Oh, absolutely. And
But I don't want another NFC team to win the Super Bowl.
ever.
Ever. Only AFC.
Only AFC
I'd be
forever.
I'm fine if it's the 49ers beating, like, uh, if they just beat up the Broncos and Raiders, if they just beat up the Raiders incessantly, I'd be fine with that.
That sounds fine with me.
Yeah.
Well, I'm pretty excited about that. I have a little bonus thing here. I don't have it in our show notes. This was what I predicted the playoffs to look like at the start of the year. Before the preseason started, I created a playoff bracket. So, Bills Vikings could still happen. I'm pretty proud of the AFC side. Let's not look at the NFC side. We don't need to see the Rams and the Saints and the Packers are all on there. But I got Dolphins locked on, Bengals, Ravens, even got that match right. And then I was a little too big of a believer in the Matt Ryan hype. And
you thought the Chiefs would get 5th seed?
I thought that the Chiefs would have more wins than the Bengals, but they would still finish 5th because the Chargers would be like 1 win behind the Bills, who had 0 losses. But then the Bills got injured and the Chargers got injured and Chiefs stayed healthy and have the best quarterback in the NFL history. So
MVP year.
yeah, if anybody,
MVP.
so if anybody
His stats
scores
are
more
outstanding.
points than my playoff bracket here, I'll go buy Maddie a dog. So we'll see if she listens to the episode and holds me to that. But last thing we have here, we know the first 18 picks of the NFL draft, and immediately I'm going to throw this to you, Billy. What stands out here as the most surprising?
The top 2 with Houston being 2 instead of 1.
Yeah, Lovie Smith used to be a Bears Bears coach. Think there was a little sleeper agent inside action going on there when he was going to get hired?
He might, because
He might.
none of that in Houston's his fault.
Yeah, I would say about the same. Josh, what was surprising to you?
Me just seeing like how many picks some of these teams have in the first 18. Like you have Houston, they have 2 in the top 12. Detroit have 2. I think Chicago has another one from one of the playoff teams as well, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so.
So just seeing like how bad some trades were for some of these teams. Like
Yeah.
Philly, a team that could potentially make the Super Bowl and has a good shot at it. They have the 10 pick. So a lot of that kind of stuff I just find very surprising.
The Rams need a rebuild, but don't even have a first round pick.
They sold their soul for a ring.
Yeah, I think
The draft-
Rams fans are fine with that trade, but it is still like, oh my god.
Drafts in Kansas City, y'all. Just don't forget that.
I forgot
Oh,
about
really?
that.
Right, it is.
A draft at Union Station, boys.
Oh shit!
Oh, really? I would go to
Yeah.
that.
Time to go visit the World War I museum again.
Hey, road trip, boys. Road
I don't
trip.
It's
6
like
hours
10
for
minutes
me.
from my house, but
It's 6 hours for me.
All right, so we're all staying at Cam's house.
Yep.
Oh, Cam.
there we go.
There.
There's the party.
Draft party.
And then we also go up there for the Chiefs Super Bowl parade as well.
I've heard stories from the last one, and no, thank you.
The amount of people that skipped school that day just so they could go.
That's pretty
Say
sweet.
I lost a perfectly good flag that day.
All right. Well, did anyone have anything else? Malachi, I forgot to ask you. Give me a team here that you want to talk about. What do you think be doing in the draft? Any team.
I think one team that I'm kind of the most curious about what they're going to do is the Jets. They've
That's
just
fair.
got. I think they have a solid. They have a solid defense. It's just like their offense of whether they're going to try and stick it out with like one of the guys they have, or they're going to trade, or QB, or are they going to draft another QB? Or it's just the Jets. I just have no idea what they're going to do. The Commanders are probably going to try and get a QB. One of these probably 17 teams will try to trade up to first with Chicago to get that first round pick. I feel.
Yeah, I could totally see that. Commanders could trade up. We could see the Jets trade up.
The
The
Panthers.
Texans themselves might even trade up. They could offer both of those first round picks to get the number one overall, locking themselves into whatever quarterback they get. Titans are probably looking. Panthers are definitely looking. Falcons are going to be looking. I don't know if Raiders would be willing to trade up. They might just draft Stetson Bennett right there at the 7th spot and doom their franchise even more. But
That'd be fun.
Stetson Bennett is the Georgia quarterback. He's 25 years old and is very mediocre.
Very.
Even
I'd be
though
okay with
he,
a really bad Raiders team.
even though he just had 6 touchdowns in the national championship game.
I don't care.
Yeah, TCU is a decent defense.
They are a decent defense, but
Decent,
I mean,
decent is the key.
yeah, decent. And when you're at that level and the coaches are that level and they're just dominating TCU, I mean, losing by 30 versus losing by 20, do you care at the end of the game if you're a TCU defender? Not really.
Oh, you just want to get it done with.
Yeah, I think Colts. I doubt the Lions would do it and trade up that high. Falcons have a pretty bad roster. I think they'd be really in trouble trading up that far. But Panthers, I think, could all trade up for that number one spot. I don't know. Anyone else that you guys think could trade up to that one spot?
It just comes down to what they have to offer, because you're going to have to give up multiple first, whether it happens to be this year or next year.
I could see one of those teams trading up for Will Anderson from Alabama.
I think Will Anderson is very, very good. That would
The
be nice.
Eagles are gonna trade up.
But
And
no,
then-
it's easily that first pick that's the most what's going to happen.
Because you got
Ed Billy.
You got Will Anderson, Jalen Carter up there as your two really good stud defenders. So those teams look for D line. They could be trading up to those picks to maybe guarantee one of those guys.
Or a QB needy team trying to get ahead of Houston, who's sitting there at number 2, just waiting for Bryce Young to fall down.
Bryce Young, I think he's really good.
It'll be interesting.
Absolutely.
Cards are in
And
Chicago right now.
I did, yeah, definitely going to be a good place to be in Chicago. I'd look it up. The Broncos have the 49ers first pick this year, so they're hoping the 49ers lose in the first round. They would like that, but well, that does it for this week's episode of the Fall Start Fantasy Podcast. Thank you all so much for listening. You can find us on Twitter at Josh Newshafer and at Cameron's Ego. Billy, you have a Twitter at BCar, is that it?
It's gotcha.
Well, whatever
It's at-
Billy's Twitter is, you got to go find him there.
Yeah.
Just start searching random people, and eventually you'll find
Yeah.
him. I'm pretty sure that's how
You'll
it
find
works.
me.
Malachi, you don't have a Twitter, right?
I don't have a Twitter, but if you want to mail Emporia State money and say that it's from Malachi Murphy, that would be pretty good.
There you go. just do
I'll
that.
do that.
Just pretend you're Malachi and send him money.
Yeah, just give me money.
All right, well, that does it for this week's episode. Josh, you guys have anything to add before we close out?
Go Dolphins strictly because of Skylar Thompson.
I can go with that.
I'm just excited about playing football, boys.
There we go. All right. Well, we will be back. We're going to figure out what we're going to do for the playoffs. Not sure if we'll have an episode next week. Maybe it'll be a bi-weekly thing after this. But if you are listening to this on YouTube, please make sure that you turn the notification bell on so that you can get notified about when our episodes are coming out. Josh and I will be discussing off-season stuff, and we're opening up a Dynasty League. Going to be trying out some Dynasty startup league for over there on Sleeper. If you're interested in joining, please feel free to leave a comment here on YouTube or hit us up on Twitter or message us if you know our social media accounts. So more details to follow on that as far as the official scoring, but looking to draft somewhere in January, maybe February, around that time as free agents starting and have a little extra excitement on what's going on there. So make sure to subscribe. You'll be notified of our next episode, and you can, of course, be ready before the ball is snapped. Thank you, and goodbye.